Remember when radio was magic? When you twist that dial through static until a song grabs you by the soul? Picture it. 1966, a transistor radio pressed against your ear, lying on shag carpet. The DJ's voice crackles. And now, something special. 3 opening chords. And suddenly the world made sense. The 1960s gave us legends we still worship. The Beatles, the Stones, the Beach Boys. But tucked between those giants were dozens of songs that absolutely dominated the charts, sold millions, and then somehow vanished from collective memory. Songs your parents slow danced to, songs that soundtracked first kisses in Chevrolet back seats. Today we're counting down 18 songs from the 1960s that you completely forgot were awesome. Not deep cuts, massive hits that topped charts, moved millions of copies, and then just disappeared. If you're ready for a time machine back to when 3 minutes and a melody could change everything, hit that subscribe button and let's begin this journey. Number 18, Dizzy by Tommy Roe, 1969. That bouncing bubblegum melody was pure joy in a year when America was anything but joyful. Tommy Roe released this infectious number in February 1969, shooting straight to number 1 for 4 weeks. It sold over 6 million copies worldwide. Roe had been chasing another hit since 1962's Sheila. When he recorded Dizzy, nobody expected lightning to strike twice. The song's simplicity worked like magic. In 1969, as Woodstock approached and counterculture peaked, Dizzy dared to just be happy. It reminded listeners that love could still feel like spinning on a playground merry-go-round. No protest, just dizzy, wonderful, head-over-heels infatuation. Number 17, Green Tambourine by the Lemon Pipers, 1968. A tambourine painted green, bells jingling against psychedelic imagery that made no sense but felt perfect. Released late 1967, it reached number 1 by February 1968, becoming the defining example of bubblegum psychedelia. Here's the twist. The band actually hated the song. They considered themselves serious musicians, but their label wanted commercial hits. The song represented late 60s optimism starting to curdle into commercial exploitation. It was psychedelia for teenagers whose parents wouldn't let them go to be-ins. Safe rebellion. Yet its catchiness transcended cynicism. That tambourine jingle wormed into millions of brains and never quite left. Number 16, This Diamond Ring by Gary Lewis and the Playboys, 1965. Doesn't mean a thing. The opening piano cascade still gives chills. This diamond ring launched Gary Lewis into stratosphere success before most people knew his father was Jerry Lewis. Released January 1965, it hit number 1 in February, selling over 1 million copies in its first month. Recorded at Gold Star Studios with session legends including Hal Blaine, Gary Lewis delivered the heartbroken vocal at just 19 years old. Unlike manufactured teen idol records, this captured genuine heartbreak. Every guy who'd been dumped while holding on to symbols of commitment understood this pain. That diamond ring, once representing forever, now just mocked your loneliness. Number 15, Incense and Peppermints by Strawberry Alarm Clock, 1967. That opening organ riff still sounds like your brain melting in the best possible way. Psychedelia distilled into 3 minutes of pure California acid trip. Released May 1967, it climbed to number 1 by November, capturing the summer of love perfectly. Here's the twist. The lead vocal wasn't performed by the band's usual singer. The producer brought in an outsider, frustrating the band that their biggest hit didn't represent their sound. It captured when mainstream America briefly flirted with counterculture aesthetics without fully committing. Psychedelia you could play at a school dance. It represented the moment when the underground almost went mainstream, right before everything got darker. Number 14. Crimson and Clover by Tommy James and the Shondells, 1968. That hypnotic, tremolo-drenched chorus where Tommy James's voice shatters into 1,000 pieces. Crimson and Clover sounded like nothing else on radio. It reached number 1 in February 1969, holding that spot for 2 weeks and selling over 5 million copies. James produced it himself at his home studio, experimenting with techniques including that distinctive tremolo vocal effect. James woke up with the phrase "Crimson and Clover" in his head. He had no idea what it meant but loved how the words sounded. The extended outro was considered radio suicide, but James didn't care. The song became Love as Fever Dream, where nothing's quite solid and everything shimmers. Number 13. Build Me Up Buttercup by The Foundations, 1968. You're grinning already. Those brass stabs and bouncy bass line make happiness feel mandatory. The Foundations, a multiracial British soul band, peaked at number 3 in 1968 and topped charts worldwide. Written by Mike Dabo and Tony McCauley, the band knocked it out in just a few takes. That hand clap rhythm, soaring horns, and Clem Curtis's pleading but playful vocal created something immediately lovable. The Foundations were one of the few truly integrated bands of the era. Their sound bridged Motown soul and British pop, creating something uniquely appealing across racial divides during turbulent times. The joy in this song felt like resistance against division. Number 12. The Letter by the Box Tops, 1967. Lonely days are gone, I'm going home. My baby is a 16-year-old Alex Chilton's raspy voice exploding. Give me a ticket for an aeroplane. 2 minutes of pure urgency. Released August 1967, it hit number 1 by September, staying 4 weeks. At 1 minute 58 seconds, it was one of the shortest songs to ever top charts, selling over 4 million copies. Chilton's vocal, remarkable for someone barely old enough to drive, carried impossible weight. What made The Letter devastating was its compressed emotion. Every word counted. Just pure need. I need to get home to the person I love. It captured the Vietnam era's desperate longing without mentioning war. Thousands of soldiers heard this and thought about home, about distance measured in agonizing minutes. Number 11. Ode to Billy Joe by Bobby Gentry, 1967.
Was out chopping cotton and my brother was baling hay.
That languid Delta guitar picking, then Bobby Gentry's voice drawing you into a mystery that's haunted listeners for decades. Released July 1967, it hit number 1 by August, staying 4 weeks and earning 3 Grammys. At over 4 minutes, it was considered too long for radio, but DJs couldn't stop playing it. The genius lay in what it didn't tell you. Billy Joe McAllister jumped off the Tallahassee Bridge, but why? What did they throw off that bridge? The casual family dinner conversation contrasting with tragedy created unbearable tension. The song captured how families sometimes fail to truly see each other, how tragedy gets reduced to gossip over supper. Number 10. Silence is Golden by The Tremolos, 1967. Those soaring harmonies promising that keeping quiet beats speaking up. The Tremolos turned a folk rock ballad into Baroque pop mastery. Released May 1967, it topped European charts and reached number 11 in America. In the UK, it spent 3 weeks at number 1, selling over 1 million copies. Producer Mike Smith added lush orchestration, dramatic dynamics, and unforgettable harmonies that transformed the original Four Seasons version. The song preached silence while being anything but quiet musically. In an era of increasing protest, it suggested restraint carried its own power. Whether you agreed or found that frustrating depended on your perspective. Number 9. Time of the Season by The Zombies, 1968.
Easy, and let me try with
That sultry groove. Colin Blunstone's breathy, "What's your name? Who's your daddy?" The Zombies created something sophisticated, sexy, and hypnotic. It reached number 3 in March 1969, despite the band having already broken up. Released from their 1968 album Odessey and Oracle, it sold over 2 million copies through label persistence and fate. The bitter irony wasn't lost on them. The Zombies had been British invasion veterans since 1964's She's Not There. By 1968, they were exhausted, broke, and disbanded. Time of the Season gave them the success they'd chased for years, after they'd already given up. Number 8, Little Green Apples by O.C. Smith, 1968.
Oh, I wake up in the morning with my hair down in my eyes, and she said,
O.C. Smith's powerful voice transforming Roger Miller's country ballad into an R&B powerhouse about finding miracles in everyday domestic life. Released summer 1968, it reached number 2 and topped R&B charts, selling over 1 million copies. Producer Jerry Fuller gave it lush orchestration perfectly suited to Smith's rich tone. The song celebrated simple domestic love in a year of assassinations, riots, and war. O.C. Smith brought jazz sophistication and soul depth to Bobby Russell's lyrics. The song proved love songs didn't need grand passion. Sometimes love was just knowing someone would be there tomorrow morning. Number 7. In the Year 2525 by Zager and Evans, 1969. The apocalyptic prophecy that somehow became a summer hit. The most unlikely number 1 imaginable. Released May 1969, it hit number 1 in July, staying 6 consecutive weeks and selling over 4 million copies. Zager and Evans were a folk duo from Nebraska who recorded it on a tiny budget. The song's dark vision of humanity's technological future resonated with late 60s anxiety. Each verse depicted humanity becoming increasingly dehumanized. Zager and Evans never had another hit, epitomizing the decade's apocalyptic undertow. The song's predictions about technology and ecological disaster feel eerily relevant today. Number 6, Judy in Disguise with Glasses by John Fred and his Playboy Band, 1968.
what you are, a lemonade pie.
The Beatles recorded Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. John Fred responded with cheeky parody that outcharted the Beatles. Released late 1967, it reached number 1 in January 1968 for 2 weeks, selling over 1 million copies. The title playfully referenced the Beatles' hit, though Fred insisted it was inspired by a woman at a costume party wearing glasses. The recording featured infectious brass and Fred's energetic vocals. The song represented rock and roll as pure fun. No deep meaning, just a great groove and energy to spare. John Fred later became a high school principal in Louisiana. Surely the coolest principal imaginable. Number 5, Classical Gas by Mason Williams, 1968. An instrumental guitar composition that climbed pop charts and won 3 Grammys. Sophistication sneaking into top 40 disguised as background music. Released May 1968, it peaked at number 2, extraordinary for an instrumental in the rock era. Mason Williams, a writer for the Smothers Brothers, composed it to showcase complex guitar technique within a pop framework. The song proved mainstream audiences still crave musicianship. Amid psychedelic excess and garage rock, Classical Gas offered a middle path. It was cerebral without being pretentious, technically dazzling without showing off. Number 4, Expressway to Your Heart by Soul Survivors, 1967.
Cause constantly you've been on my mind. I was thinking about
Those blaring car horns. that driving rhythm. The Soul Survivors turned Philadelphia Rush Hour into a blue-eyed soul anthem. Released summer 1967, it peaked at number 4 and topped R&B charts. The song's genius lay in its concept, using the Schuylkill Expressway as metaphor for romantic pursuit. Those actual car horn samples and urgent vocals created something unique, foreshadowing the sophisticated Philly soul sound. Blue-eyed soul bands weren't copying black artists. They were students contributing to a shared musical conversation. The song lived at the intersection of rock energy and soul sophistication. Number 3, Turn, Turn, Turn by the Byrds, 1965. There is a season. Pete Seeger's adaptation of Ecclesiastes, transformed by 12-string jangle into a plea for peace during escalating war. Released October 1965, it reached number 1 in December, staying 3 weeks and selling over 1 million. Seeger adapted the lyrics from the Book of Ecclesiastes, adding only, "A time for peace. I swear it's not too late." The Byrds version featured Roger McGuinn's distinctive Rickenbacker guitar, creating signature folk rock sound. The song became a peace movement anthem. The power came from using 3,000-year-old wisdom to comment on contemporary crisis. Number 2, Groovin' by the Young Rascals, 1967. Pure distilled summer. On Sunday afternoon. Groovin' captured lazy Sunday afternoons when time slowed and nothing mattered except the person next to you. Released April 1967, it reached number 1 in May, staying 4 weeks. Felix Cavalieri and Eddie Brigatti wrote it on a Sunday when they skipped rehearsal to just relax, then captured that feeling in music. The recording featured laid-back groove, Hammond organ, gentle percussion, and Brigatti's whistle solo. Most hits are about desire or loss. Groovin' celebrated having enough. In the summer of love, it provided the soundtrack for actually being in love. Number 1, Unchained Melody by the Righteous Brothers, 1965. Oh, my love. Wait, you say. Everyone remembers Unchained Melody. But here's the thing. In 1965, it wasn't even released as a single. It was the B-side to Hung on You. It eventually climbed to number 4 in 1965, but legendary status came later. Bobby Hatfield convinced producer Phil Spector to let him take a solo shot at this old 1955 song. The recording was minimal, just piano, drums, and Hatfield's voice. What he delivered was one of the most emotionally raw vocals in pop history. The song became truly famous 25 years later when it appeared in Ghost, triggering massive rediscovery. But in 1965, it was just another beautiful B-side that disc jockeys flipped over because it moved them. That's how the best forgotten songs work. They wait patiently for the right moment, the right ears, the right hearts. 18 songs that dominated radios, sold millions, and then faded from the classic rock rotation. These weren't minor hits. These were number 1 smashes, Grammy winners, cultural touchstones that defined moments for millions. The 60s weren't just one thing. They were countless threads woven together, and these forgotten songs reveal colors we don't see when we only remember the usual suspects. Which one took you right back? Maybe you slow danced to Unchained Melody. Maybe the letter played while you waited for someone who never called. Perhaps Build Me Up Buttercup was on the jukebox where everything felt possible. Drop a comment and tell us your memory. Where were you? Who were you with? These songs deserve to be remembered, and your stories keep them alive. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We're continuing our time travel through music history, rescuing forgotten hits. Next week, we're diving into one-hit wonders who deserve so much more. Until then, keep grooving, keep remembering, and keep those memories alive.